It's now 9 minutes after 9 o'clock into the final hour of Kenya's biggest conversation on this 27th day of January. And we get into one this hour. You've been with us from morning. And as we do this now, thank you for being here. We're going to go beyond the borders of Kenya and come back into the borders of Kenya with this next conversation that we will have. And we'll be looking into a number of things with His Excellency Dr. Ali Gholampour, who is the ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran to Kenya and joins us in the hot seat this morning. Balozi, good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to your program.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm happy and glad to be here. Especially, I have the opportunity to talk with your viewers and listeners, so that's very unique opportunity for me.
Thank you for coming. As usual, you've been here before, so you know that we start the day with a proverb.
Yeah. This is my, actually, it's not my first time in here.
Yes.
It's good.
So Dennis will share that with you.
Yeah, so today we are in Benin, a country, a West African country that is rich in cotton. It is the largest producer of cotton in the continent, and as well as it is a country of 13 million people. But the proverb that we get today from Benin is, a child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. A child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. How would you interpret that?
Oh, that's a difficult question. Actually, I don't know how should I comment on that. Maybe I didn't get your point. Could you maybe clarify on that more?
So it is a situation where embracing a child and guiding a child and loving a child when they are young, so that when they grow up, they don't rebel. They become part and parcel of a community. Because if you reject them when they are young, they grow up with so much anger that later they would turn against you. It's pretty much what the proverb is talking about. Yes.
Of course, it depends on the whole society and the family role in the society. The society, I mean, you have also the culture, you have the political system and political culture, and also from it out we have the government.
Yes.
And also from the other side we have personal duties and responsibilities which reflect the family responsibilities. So I mean the whole society and each and every individual has the responsibility to think about, be very watchful about the future generations who come.
Yes.
And because the future generation, they are the ones that are going to build the society in the future. So everything that we do for them, plan for them, for education, for for job, for sports, for entertainments, everything that a child needs to grow and to transform its total personality into its complete personality. So I mean, this is a very intertwined kind of nets of duties and responsibilities.
See, you did well. You did well.
So,
yes.
Okay. Of course, we look at, the countries of the world, we look at the regions of the world in order for us to have insular and granular conversations across the board. And looking at Iran strategically in the Gulf, of course, and then looking at relations with Kenya and, of course, a lot of African regions and or countries. But let's take a look into what's been happening in Iran in the last couple of weeks and months. Yeah. Give us an overview of that situation. What's been happening?
Okay, let me to start naming Allah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. You are right. You mentioned a very important region, which is the Middle East, West Asia, and the Persian Gulf region. So, and in that region, Iran is the biggest, or at least one of the biggest players. And it's very important, in terms of geostrategic location, in terms of the population, in terms of economy, history, and culture. So nowadays you see that Iran is on media news, and many things is happening there surrounding Iran and inside Iran. As you are aware, after the revolution, it is almost half a century that Iran, after the revolution, because Iran after the revolution sought its independence, and now for decades it has standing on its own 2 feet independently from foreign influence. And after the revolution, all the pressures came into on Iran to again return the previous situation for influence and control. Iran is a rich country in terms of natural resources, and also a very big market, and in terms of the geostrategic location. So all these matter for foreign players, and in particular the United States and others, to try to plan for reinstalling all those, let's say, the leverages for influence and control. And because of that, they followed policy of embargo and sanctions, and it has been continued for decades up until now. And they couldn't get what they wished through that policy of sanctions and embargo. And
this is the United States?
And
others,
and few others who are in that let's say front. So as a result of all these sanctions, economically speaking, so there, and also after the second, especially after the second administration of the Trump presidency, they just declared and followed a maximum pressure policy on Iran, and it means that they will bring a very substantive and huge sanctions and embargo against Iran. So in that terms, economically speaking, Iran was really under the pressure, its economy, and as a result of this illegitimate coercive measures which has been imposed on Iran, the economic situation was, getting worse, and especially in regards to the foreign rates, currencies, rate exchange rates, and we were witnessing a lot of fluctuations up and downs, and as a result, the business community, markets, shoppers, and all those economic activities, they were not be able to manage their daily business, and they were of course unsatisfied, they were unhappy, and they had their protest. They came onto the streets, they raised their voice, and they had their very peaceful protests, and it took around almost 8 days of protests. During those peaceful protests, that was in accordance with the rules and regulations, the laws of the country, was very legitimate and legal. So
it was a legal protest carried out.
Because we recognize, of course,
this was in December last year.
We recognize the right of the people, for the protest, but it should be in accordance with the rules and regulations, of course, peaceful, but not violent.
So there were no violent protests?
Not in the beginning. So in the beginning, it was not like that.
Okay, so what happened after, for your rendition?
I will get back to it.
In terms of the reports, of course, like you say, it's in the media that there was some violence by state officials and government against protesters within cities. What was that about?
And then it was very peaceful, and it took long, of course, for a few days, 7-8 days, and authorities also addressed them, and they said that, okay, we listened to you, we heard you, and now we are trying to have initiative to respond to your demands and what you are looking for. So the plans and programs are here, and we are trying to accommodate your needs. And of course, you have the right to raise your voice, because it's your right. But of course, it was just around the 8 days and beyond that everything was turned into violent and very chaotic riot actions, and all of the sudden, many used the firearms, and the shooting was from inside the protesters, and there were groups and cells that have been organized and trained Few of them, many of them have been payrolled by the foreign service agencies, in particular U.S. CIA and Israeli regime Mossad, that they came into the country and they were joined the other protesters that they were protesting very peacefully, and they turned everything into a very violent kind of actions. And you see that based on the reports and the facts on the ground, unfortunately, many lives we lost. And many of them, they were security officers who were shot or stabbed from the back or beaten to the death. So it was very violent and unprecedented tragedy which has happened. And all these actions were in a kind of Daesh and ISIS stylish terrorist acts. And and the foreigners, I mean the foreign intelligence services and authorities in US and Israel, they very openly they commented on this protest, and they incited and encouraged people to come on the streets. For example, President Trump himself commented in X platform and invited people to come on the streets and occupy the institutions. You see, it's like, you know, in Kenya, somebody invite people to come and go and occupy all the state buildings, or, you know, so, and then you can imagine what will happen in the end. So, and due to all these violent actions, and unfortunately the lives that we lost, government had to take measures.
Okay.
And it is very natural, you know, each and every government has the prime responsibility for safety and security of the population and all the public assets. And so the government had to take measures. One of the measures was to disconnect internet.
Okay.
Because everything was channeling through the internet for
and the violence
organized.
Was
yes,
okay.
Because they were getting their instructions through internet, and all these organized actions was guided through that channel. So, and the proof for that is that just after disconnecting the internet, everything was down and under control, and no more violent actions or nothing on the street, and everything now is calm. And of course, legally speaking, although also the government has the right and the chance to have their measures for internet connections under special circumstances, like such as this riots.
One thing that has come out is when you talk about the numbers here, the numbers that you talk about is the Iran Supreme Council of National Security issued a statement that 3,117 people died. That coupled up with the decision to shut down the internet from the Republic, like you rightfully said, the country has measures that it has to take to protect its people, but that has been attributed to the government conducting atrocities without the world knowing about it. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, in terms of the statistics that officially has been published and introduced, I just want to refer to these statistics that these are official and confirmed. So 305 ambulances and buses have been set and put on fire. 24 gas stations has been on fire and destroyed. 700 convenience stores has been put on fire and destroyed. 300 private homes has been destroyed. 750 banks has been attacked. 414 government buildings has been attacked. 749 police stations has been attacked. You see, it's very huge numbers. 120 security centers, which belongs to Basij Centers. Basij is a kind of organization in Iran. Nowadays, one part of their duty is helping police forces in restoring security and safety. So 200 schools has been attacked. 350 mosques and worship centers has been attacked.
This is all in 8 days?
Yes, in 2 days, in 2-3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, in 2 or 3 days. 15 libraries has been attacked and put on fire. You said libraries, when you cannot imagine why. 2 Armenian churches, churches also have been attacked and damaged. 253 bus stations has been destroyed. Public transportation stations. 600 ATMs, bank ATMs, have been also destroyed and damaged. And also many other private cars also has been damaged or put on fire. And so this is, in total death toll, officially the total death toll as has been published is 3,117.
17, yes.
Yeah. And also from this number, civilians and security forces are 2,427.
Okay.
And terrorists who have been killed are 690. So these are the figures that has been officially announced.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we're looking at destruction of property in the millions of dollars. We are looking at death. We're looking at injury. And what you're alluding to, or if you're saying it quite overtly, is that there was an infiltration of external parties who instituted this violence in the street.
Yeah.
So this was not in any way by Iranian governmental security agencies, apart from keeping the peace.
Yeah. As I just was explaining to you, we had a long history of hostility and enmity from outsiders, from Mossad and Israeli regime, and also from the U.S. and its Mossad agency. And based on their the scholars and also those who are international those who are professors at international schools, like Meir Schmeier, which is well known to everybody in international politics. He says that they had followed 4 steps for bringing knee the Iranian government and society. And the first step is sanctions, and put under the pressure to bring a lot of difficulties for daily lives. And they have followed it for decades, but they couldn't get what they wanted. And then they came to this unrest and uprising and bringing people on the streets, and as the second step. And because this unrest situation can provide the ground for infiltration, as you just mentioned, from outside. It makes it very easy under such chaotic circumstances and status to infiltrate and to be on the streets, on the beside of others, to do what you have been trained or you have been instructed. And the third step is to create and make narratives in order to just fit to the minds of the public whatever you are following and what is on your plan and agenda. And this is now we are on the third step, based on the Meir Schmeier that is telling, and I can provide you the source of it. And then now we are in the third phase, or the third steps, that they are going to get what they want. And what they want is clear. First, to bring a lot of difficulties and challenges and issues into the society and the people, unsatisfaction, and then under such using or leveraging such circumstances, and then to go to the last final stage, which is regime change.
I see.
And collapse the whole government. Yes. So now we are in the third phase, and the fourth step, as Meir Schmeier has put it down, is that when they get, or they are not get what they are wishing or planned, they will go for military intervention and military siege. That now you see that U.S. military forces are bringing Iran under a military siege from all around, and they are threatening day by day that we are attack you and we are intervene militarily, and all these are against the principles and rules of international
in the
law.
attack, rather in the chaos that happened in Iran during the protest that saw over 3,000 people killed. You must have arrested people as well who are in jail today. Did you arrest foreign nationals who, and through investigations, who are found to have been part and parcel of that entire process?
No, this is, I should be confirmed from our authorities. I haven't been confirmed and received any reports up until now on who have been arrested or have been detained. Maybe in the future, also this information to be issued. But for the time being, I'm not aware of that.
With the move that the United States is doing militarily around Iran, how is Iran planning to respond to that?
That's very clear. Our authorities has time by time has declared and also sent the message through the existing channels to U.S. and others that Iran is always ready to engage in negotiations, but mutually respectful. In order to address all the issues and come up with an outcome to be consented by both parties. And so we are ready for engaging in negotiations. But in the meantime, as they are threatening Iran to commit again another round of military aggression against Iran. So we are ready to defend ourselves.
Sure.
And they are very decisive in declaring that we are decisive, and they are ready. Our military forces are ready to respond very decisively and strongly, even stronger than before. I hope the other side is enough wise not to go into that phase. But if they are doing such a wrong calculation and again attack Iran, of course, Iranian military forces will respond very strongly. And this is what the Iranian authorities has confirmed.
That's clear.
And I wish that it will not happen, because Iran always, based on its long historical civilization, is a peace-seeking nation and civilization. So we are not going for any kind of attacking others or getting to such military conflicts. But of course, we will defend ourselves based on all international rules and laws, especially Article 51 of the United Nations Charter, which gives the right for people and nations to defend themselves as a self-defense theory. Yeah.
The reason for the protest was that people of Iran felt this economic pressure, which you have also outlined, and that things were just very difficult in terms of survival economically. And we're looking at crazy exchange rates to the US dollar, because that's where it's denominated for now. And we're looking at daily life becoming very, very difficult for the average Iranian. Let's not even talk about levels of poverty. And that's the reality. The people going into the streets was to protest this situation. Make a link for us to understand very clearly why you have said that the reason for this economic situation has been years and years of economic degradation that can be pointed directly to the sanctions that have been placed on Iran, largely by the United States.
Yeah.
We see the same similar action in other countries, Cuba being one of them, who have had sanctions for the last 60 years. And it's very clear that we can see the connection between the sanction and economic way of life. Very, very difficult. Can you say that this is the same thing that is happening here and is it the sole reason behind the economic degradation that has happened in Iran?
Iran is a very rich country, Iran has a very big population of well-educated young generation. They are very talented, and you have there are the statistics and the facts that despite all these sanctions and coercive measures, Iran has achieved a lot in terms of technology, in terms of science, and all these areas. There are many economic sections in Iran that are very advanced, like health, like agricultural machinery. Even Iran is producing a large number of cars. Around 1 million cars that we're producing, and all the technology are almost local. And in aerospace technology, we are very advanced. We have, in many different, and in particular, peaceful uses of nuclear energy, Iran is advanced. So that's why others and the U.S. and Israeli regime, they are not happy with this advancement. And we have achieved all this under pressures and sanctions.
Even energy.
But even energy sector.
Nuclear energy is a big one.
Of course. And, sanctions are not the only factor, merely, if you wanted to say it. But it's one main and major factor and reason as why this economic situation has been created. It's a accumulating process. It's not by overnight to see such erratical, fluctuations of foreign currency rates. It takes time over years and years, and then it shows it's in the prices, in the inflation rates, and in the cost of the lives. Of course, the main part of it is due to the sanctions, and we are like other nations who are subject to such cruel sanctions. We are victims to such terroristic economic activity. This is a kind of terrorism when you put a nation under the pressure unprecedentedly, and you are not allowing to have business with others. You block all the channels for transactions. You do not allow and use all your forces and energy to block it, not to trade with others, not to sell and return them the income back. So then you are victim to such a terrorist act, and there is no such a big difference between military terrorist attacks and economic terrorist attacks, and it targets the prosperity of a nation that we have been targeted, and now we are suffering from that very significantly and severely. And of course, the main part of that as the result of that kind of policy and enmity against our nation.
Part of the sanctions, the reason behind sanctions that do exist is because of the respect of how do we call it, human rights. And it has been stated, the global north has said that Iran does not respect human life and human rights. The reason why the sanctions do exist, and some of the reason as well that we see is the people went to the streets demanding a political change and respect for human rights. So in terms of respect of human rights, does that exist in Iran?
Sure, of course.
Because that's why the people were on the streets.
Of course. Even in many other countries are criticized for human rights issues, including Kenya, as how they are treating people, and many other countries. And even in the United States, even in the Western countries, there are a lot of reports, proved that they are doing things that are not for the right of the people, and it's not in accordance with the human rights standards. Indigenous peoples, and even the foreigners, diaspora people, and now you are seeing in Minnesota, in the United States, what's going on there against the migrants and the people that are there. So in Iran, of course, the human rights standards very high. People have, all the nation and people individually, they have the right to protest, but it should be in the frame of the rules and regulations. It should not be by firearm or violent, And if such thing happens in the world, of course, the first and foremost priority and responsibility on the government is to return back the safety and security that they have done. But in terms of human rights, absolutely they have their own right for protest that we were witnessing.
If there are human rights that you say it's very good in Iran, then why are the citizens on the streets complaining that there is lack of it?
And it shows that the kind of democracy and liberty that they can protest, but as long as it is peaceful, and it shows that people are enjoying their rights for expression, self-expression, and they are doing so. And there were all the channels like internet. But when it comes on the whole country and the system is a situation that, everything is jeopardized and at risk to be killed, to be destroyed, you have to take measures to control it. Mm-hmm. And this is something that even in the United States, if you recall, just yesterday or the day before, the U.S. police authorities, they have declared that it municipal law, if, the protesters are going to attack police stations or police officers or destroy the infrastructure and public transportation or public assets, we will attack and we militarily and we will forcefully manage things and react. So everywhere, it's usual. And if not, you will compromise the safety and security of others who have the right to live in peace and coexistence and have their daily life as usual.
It's interesting that you say that, because I wonder, as we study international relations and politics and things like this and see how nations move from one system of governance to the other, one of the things that actually helps to propel certain narratives is sight, vision, as perception, that you can see what's going on. Recently, we've seen, and the way the world is that technology has allowed us to see, I can be sitting in Nairobi and I can see what's happening in New York. I can see what's happening in Beijing because of the power of the internet and because of how technology has allowed this to open. So then, because I can see, I can then have an opinion based on what I have seen. We've also seen that in this region, people have shut that off. It's been shut off in Uganda before an election. It's been shut off in Tanzania just before an election. It's been shut off in Iran during a protest. Is there a protective measure or is there a concealing measure? Which is it?
A good question. First of all, after disconnecting the internet, everything was calmed down. And it shows that everything was from outside and not from the inside. And then for seeing on the ground, we have invited, personally, I have invited all the, independent reporters, even the Human Rights Commission of Kenya, from the members of the Parliament of Kenya, and also from the government. And we have invited them officially. Come to Iran and see whatever you want yourself. Just expose yourselves to the realities on the ground and not to just use, second-handed sources of information because they are fabricated. And you need to directly expose yourself to the reality, and we have invited them. And we are open and ready to receive any sort of human rights delegation or women's delegations in any term to come to Iran and go and to see themselves directly. So expose themselves to the realities, and then they will have their understanding of the situation. And this is something that we will invite you, yourself and you. So you can have your team go to Iran and see, and then you will, when you are back, you have your own judgment independently. And it's not borrowed from, other sources, from Western mainstream sources that they are, most of them, because when you have enemies, and there are hostilities against a country, all these narratives are made. And it's very usual. And internet is a tool that they can incite, encourage, and bring the society into chaos situation, as they did. But now, as I have been informed by our authorities, the internet is getting back step by step, and it will be back soon, I hope.
Is it your position that the world pretty much is fed with lies and misinformation on who the people of Iran are and what the Iranian government is?
The Iranian government and the system is a very democratic, but of course it's a religious democracy based on all the values of religion and the culture of Iran. We have several kind of elections in Iran. We have the parliament, direct election. We have the city council elections. Even the supreme leader is elected by a council of elites who they are elected directly by the people. And it's periodical. Every 4 years, we have elections. And the president is also elected directly. So this is a democracy, of course, based on the Islamic values and principles. But this is something that the Westerners, they are not happy because it has brought independence to a country that can stand on own 2 feet for a long time.
Okay. Sorry, I want to make a connection because that is it. When we look at the current world that we exist in, moving in after the 2000s, where globalization became something that people would, start to think about, that it's actually one connected place. That era has long shifted to whereby we're coming back into the throes of nationalism by many a country who say we must then reclaim or position ourselves as the global leaders. So the question is that any country that would stand on its own is almost an affront to that position of a global leader. Do you feel as though Iran had the audacity to say, well, we can stand on our own, and that didn't make people very happy? Is that the position that you would take?
It depends on the situation and the geostrategic status and location of that country or nation. If it is Iran, or in the case of Venezuela, with huge amount of resources, Venezuela has the first recognized oil and gas reservoirs.
Yes.
And Iran is the second or the third in terms of, you see, what's the reason? And as they are very apparently and openly, they claim that, okay, we are here to control your resources, your market, because if we control your resources and market, then we control the world. And that's the issue. And of course, it's a matter of independence. And independence has its costs, And then if you wanted to be independent, you have to be ready to pay the price. And now I think the Iranian nation, they are paying the price.
It has been said that one of the reasons why you even look at the state of Israel and what it says is that Iran is a threat to us because they are developing nuclear. Iran has come out before and said, including yourself in this show, said we've invited international organizations to come see if there is any production here. But you look at the Friends of Israel would continue insisting that there is nuclear development in the country of Iran, and that is the reason why sanctions still exist. But one as well would ask the question, those that are anti-nuclear have nuclear themselves. Where is geopolitics and relations in these in terms of fairness and equality?
It's we need to see if it's from different angles and aspects. We have an international system, and this international system had created aftermaths of the Second World War. Okay, and the foundation for this new international system is the Charter of the United Nations. And if you look at the Charter of the United Nations, there are many principles and rules there that many of them are just cogents. They are the principles and the rules that all the members of international community are committed and obliged to follow and observe. So in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations and principles, and of course other international conventions like NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty, that Iran is a member as a non-nuclear state. Israel is not. The Israeli regime is not a member to the NPT, a non-proliferation regime. But from the other side, Iran is a member of that regime. And that regime has a comprehensive safeguard mechanism. And it is about to inspect each and every country who is doing nuclear activities to make sure that these activities are peaceful. And Iran has been under such comprehensive safeguard measures and inspections over 2-3 decades. And almost more than 50% of the total budget of the IAEA, International Atomic Energy, has been allocated only for inspections in Iran. More than 50% only in Iran, out of 192 or 3 or 6 countries in the world, Now Iran is a member to the NPT convention, and it has been committed, and inspection has been going on. And as a result of these inspections, almost 15 or more than 15, 16 reports have been issued by the IAEA, by the IAEA Director General and also its Board of Governors. No mention, no single word mentioning that Iran has, diverted or has had any diversion from peaceful nuclear activities. So it is proof there. No evidence, nothing to say that Iran is diverted from nuclear peaceful activities. And you see that all those facilities that are peaceful are under historical unprecedented inspections and safeguard activities. From the other side, you have a regime who is not party to NPT, who has nuclear warheads, and is an existential threat to others, including Iran. And then the same regime is, claiming that, the other country who is a non-nuclear country is an existential threat to me. And because of that, I have the right to come and attack as a preemptive attack on such a country, because in the future may he build something that can attack me. Everything is on a wrong presumptions, not on the facts on the ground. So this is the situation with that nuclear facilities. But now you see they are claiming that they have destroyed everything. There is no matter to be worried anymore. If they are claiming that they have destroyed everything, and this is what they say. So it's remain nothing to be worried about.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've also seen that when we look at African nations, the direction has gone east a lot. And we've also seen that for the first time in forever, we've seen that Gulf nations have been involved in peace processes in Africa. That's something that you never really hear about, but we've seen that in the last few years. And so when we look at what's happening in nations, we often ask ourselves, in this whole spectrum of international relations and politics, what would it matter what's happening in Iran with its friend and or foes, and how things are playing out in Africa, in Kenya?
First, allow me to explain what I studied in geography when I was in school, high school and university, and also abroad. I don't know where is Gulf, as you mentioned. If you can say me where is Gulf, I can...
Let's go with the Middle East then.
It's Persian Gulf.
Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
Persian Gulf.
We just removed the Persian, but when we say Gulf, that's what we're referring to.
Okay. And then, of course, the Africa is one of the most important continents, and the countries of African continent are they have all their dynamism, especially in terms of social dynamism, demographic dynamism, and also the economic perspective. The perspective is looming, and it's very attractive for other countries to come, to have trade, to invest, and to be present in Africa. So in the coming new system of international system, Africa would have more bold and very significant place, much more than the current or in the past. So all the potentials are here, especially resources. and of a geostrategic location. If you look at, for example, at the east part of Africa, especially Northeast Africa, we have countries like Kenya that can play very crucial role in peace building processes, as they do, as the Kenya is just does it right now. And they can have very significant impact on the whole processes, not only in Africa, but also beyond Africa, as we have seen in Latin America by the peace-building operations by Kenya in Haiti. The same is for the Persian Gulf countries, because they have, they have an appetite to come and invest and have their, expand their economic links and bonds. And of course, friendship and cooperation. And this is the case for Iran. The Iranian government has put Africa on the top of its priority list on the foreign policy for engagement, for trade and investment. And but unfortunately, due to the sanctions, we have not been able to do what we have just planned for working with Africa, especially in terms of investment and transfer of technology, because we have very advanced technology that we are ready to share with countries like Kenya. But we are not able to do that because of the sanction, because of the... And also, there are a few countries or many countries that unfortunately they try to over compliance with sanctions, and it makes difficult such engagement. But now they as you say, everything is depending on the other thing in the world. So it's kind of international village, huh? And countries cannot separate each other from each other, and they need to come and to interact. And this is something that I think both sides are in need. Supply and demand from all aspects, especially for food, for food security, for energy security, for health. These are very important elements that I think countries can cooperate and benefit from each other, especially from the countries in Persian Gulf region, and in particular from Iran, that we are ready to lend our support and our knowledge and technology.
During the time when President Raisi visited Kenya a while back, there was conversations on deeper engagement in terms of business, cultural exchange, and one would then ask from that meeting henceforth, from a diplomatic level from both countries, just how deep are we in these conversations?
In terms of bilateral relation, we have very long history of relations, bilateral relations. Even in Kiswahili, we have many Persian words, if you're familiar with them. Many. It's not limited number. Yes. So it shows the interaction, cultural interaction between two nations over the past centuries. And it has been continued very friendly and amicably, very positively. The attitude is very positive in Iran towards Africa, and in particular Kenya, and the coast parts, especially because we have a community that we call them Afro-Shirazis, and Shirazis in Iran. And Afro-Shirazis are Iranian in origin. In the past, they migrated for business, doing business here. And after the independence in Kenya and the revolution in Iran, Islamic revolution in Iran, the two countries came together closer, and they tried to, put a solid base for cooperation and engagement. And so as a result, they opened their embassies and they started diplomatic relations, and on the side of it, they had a lot of cultural, economic engagements up until now. And the recent years, especially after the State House visit by our late martyr president, Shahid Raisi, to Kenya, they finalized and signed a lot of MOUs and documents and agreements, and it's helped us to expand even further the relations, bilateral relations between two countries, especially in terms of trade and investment. And you know that very recently Iranian Red Society of Iran has opened a hospital in Nairobi, and also dialysis center for kidney treatment in Nairobi. And it is for the health sector, as we are ready to expand such kind of bilateral cooperation in health sector. And in science and technology, as you know, we have international Iranian House of Technology and Innovation based in Nairobi, and it's in Dennis Pritt Street. So it's first and the priority and duty is to provide grant for engagement between startup companies between two countries and knowledge-based institutions. And if conditions allow us, all the Iranian companies are ready to bring their funds and technology and their lines of production to Kenya.
Right.
So it means that we are already competing, and from the other side, Kenya is very friendly with us. We have very good relations. However, challenges are there, and challenges are mainly due to the sanctions and the banking system that unfortunately it doesn't exist.
For us to have conversations like this opens a lot of people to the realities that exist in our world and the conversations that we can be part of. And I reckon that there's a lot of things that came out today that people were not aware of, and that's why we talk. His Excellency Dr. Ali Gholampour is the ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran to Kenya. Thank you for being in the Situation Room this morning.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and for listeners that just gave their precious time to listen to us.
For sure.
Thank you.
Asante Sana and everybody else for being in the Situation Room this morning. Conversations continue tomorrow. God willing, have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday. We'll talk again tomorrow. It's 10 a.m.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.